What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Torrence, and in today's video, we are testing out foundations. All this week, I've been testing out different foundations from different formulas, and I wanted to switch things up today because for the first two, I did liquid foundations, and for this last one for the week, I wanted to switch it up to a powder foundation. And although powder foundations have been out for quite a while, one company has been causing a stir with their recent release, and that would be Fenty Beauty. They've recently released their Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Powder Foundation, and everyone has been going crazy about it. As a brand that is known for their inclusivity, it makes everyone feel even better to know that not only do they have liquid formulas, but they're now stepping out and coming out with other formulas to help even more people. I'm someone who generally loves all formulas of foundations, but liquid does seem to be my favorite simply because it offers the most coverage for my acne-prone skin. But I'm never against trying out new formulas from brands that I love because you never know exactly what can help improve your routine. This foundation is available in 50 shades and I'm currently wearing the shade 370, and I love that they kept things simple by keeping the shade ranges the same across the board. So if you would like to see how I achieve this look as well as my thoughts on this foundation, just continue to watch. But before we get started, I would love if you hit that subscribe button. If you already have, I would like to say thank you. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this review. Alright, you guys, it's time to get into things. But before we get started, I wanted to read to you all the information that they have about this foundation on the Sephora app. Although this foundation is available online at fentybeauty.com, I decided to pick mine up in store at Sephora. Just in case I get the wrong shade, I can always exchange it instead of having to wait for it to come in the mail. And let's see what we have here. It says Fenty Beauty by Rihanna Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Powder Foundation. It retails for $36. And let's check out the product details. What it is: a light as air powder foundation that gives you light to full coverage with a soft matte finish. Coverage medium. I guess medium is between light and full, but it's saying right here the coverage is medium, so I guess that's what we're gonna hold it to instead of the description. Finish, matte, formulation, pressed powder, ingredient callouts, free of parabens and phthalates. It is also vegan, cruelty-free, and gluten-free. Okay. What else you need to know? This powder delivers a non-cakey, blurred finish with no flashback. That's always a good thing. The buildable, light to full coverage formula loves to be layered without settling into fine lines or clogging the look of pores. As someone with acne, once you tell me you clogging pores, honey, you got to go. I don't care how beautiful it makes me look. I don't care how affordable it is. We don't play with that, honey, because we got to be cute without the makeup. It's also sweat, humidity, and crease resistant, plus it has a chic portable compact. Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Powder Foundation comes in the same 50 shades as the original Pro Filt'r, so if you need to know your shade number, start there and adjust as needed. You may need to go a shade lighter. Okay, well, first thing I want to let you know is my shade, according to the liquid foundation, is shade 370. So that was the same color I picked up here in this compact. When shopping in store now, there are no swatches, there are no testers because they are worried about the safety of the employees as well as the customers. So I just decided to go ahead, pick up the same shade. And if for any reason this shade is a little bit darker, I know I can highlight a little bit more. If it's a little bit lighter, I can always add a bronzer. But I wanted to make sure that I did a true first impressions on this foundation for you all. I am already wearing primer right now. That's why you can notice a slight white cast here. In my T-zone, just to help reduce oiliness, I have the Becca Evermatte primer. I only have this here on the sides of the nose and right underneath it here above the top of the lip. And for primer all over the face, although I have the Fenty Beauty primer, I wanted to make sure that I held all of the foundations that I tested out this week to the same standards. So I wanted to wear the same primers across the board. And so today, once again, I'm wearing my Maybelline Master Prime. I just find this to be nice and universal, whether I'm wearing a liquid foundation, a powder one, whether it's matte or dewy. I find that this just works, so I went ahead and used this one here. But back to the powder foundation. The first thing you notice is how cute this compact is. This compact is so beautiful. It's small, it's chic, and it's not heavy, but it does have a nice weight to it. Once you open the compact, you can see it has the FB logo on it for Fenty Beauty. It also has a mirror, but I don't want the light to reflect off of it and blind you all, so I'm going to keep it down. And once you flip up the foundation, it does give you a sponge here in the bottom, but I'm someone who tends not to use sponges to apply foundation. I would much rather prefer to keep that to blot oil later on in the future, but I did want to show you that it is there. And the bottom of the foundation compact is actually really reflective, so more than likely you could possibly use that as a mirror as well. And as with any tutorial, I'll make sure I leave all tools and products used today in the description bar below. But before we get started, because this is a powder foundation, and depending on your skill as well as your comfort levels, you can take and use liquids on top or below powder foundations. I'm someone who prefers to put my liquid and cream products down first and then put my powders on top of it. So for today, what I want to do is go in and do my highlighting. I'm going to make sure I use my concealer underneath the eyes and in my highlighted areas like my chin, my cupid's bow, and my nose. And then we can go back in and set everything with this powder foundation. More than likely, we'll just put it around the edges first just so that we can see how much coverage we get. And then we can layer it on top of the liquid products just to make sure we can reduce our chances of cakiness. So I'll be right back. I'm going to apply my concealer and then I'll be back to show you how I apply the foundation on camera. Baby, let me tell you, you do not know how crazy makeup looks until you are finished. If I didn't know what I was doing, honey, I'd be looking back like, that ain't my color, sis, and that ain't the way that's supposed to be going. But we already know we still got to apply foundation, so let's get into it. Although on most days I like a rounded kabuki brush simply because I like the shape of it. It's something that I feel as if I can get a nice blend with, and especially with it being a kabuki brush, it gives me a lot of coverage. But usually I prefer rounded brushes for liquid foundations simply because I feel as if it glides a little better. Whenever I'm using a pressed powder foundation, I prefer a flathead kabuki brush. And my favorite one to use right now is the it brushes for Ulta, the number 115 Complexion Perfection. Most kabuki brushes that are flat are completely flat across the top. This one here actually comes at an angle, and when I first got it, I was like, okay, how do you use this little weird thing here? But I honestly like it because it makes it easier to do downward strokes and come straight up and down. And when, shouldn't come straight up and down, duh, I just said downward strokes. But when I first got into makeup, I always was told that you want to stick in one direction to help reduce brush strokes. And using this brush helped me get there. But now I'm comfortable using just a basic flathead brush. The only thing that I had a problem with this brush is if you use it with a really full coverage foundation, especially a liquid one, and you don't wash that brush the same day, it can be rather difficult to get the product out of this, especially down here closer to the shorter end where the bristles are a little more dense and a little more packed in compared to up here near the top edge where they're a little more fluffy. But this is a rather large brush head here, and I'm absolutely ecstatic that it will actually fit in this compact because I'm someone who likes to just press it right there and then go in. So to know that I will be able to fit this brush in here is a plus for me. And just to see what this color is going to look like, I'm going to make sure we go in here, press and swirl that around a good little bit to make sure my brush is covered. And then I'm just going to start on the outside here, and I want to press it into place and see what kind of coverage that's going to give me. And so far for the color, it looks nice. They were saying you may have to go in with a lighter shade, and I'm not seeing that. Let me put this down before I accidentally drop her. And what I want to do now is just go ahead, swirl this across, and see how does she build and blend. So I'm going to just go in small downward strokes and see what kind of coverage she offers. And I'm going to just press it on top of the areas with concealer, just because I don't want to disturb that product. And before I actually go in and press it right there underneath the eye, I'm going to make sure we don't have any settling of the concealer. And for that, actually, let me go ahead and set my under eyes with this same powder. Didn't even think about it. So worried about getting the color match. I'm going to take my Real Technique setting brush. I'm just going to make sure my under eye on this side is pressed out as well. And then we'll just go in, set that area really fast. That way we already have that done. If nothing else, we want to make sure we ain't got a creasy under eye. And baby, with this brush right there underneath the eye, I can see the coverage of that one. You can see how on this side where I've applied no foundation or anything, the color right underneath my eye is much more opaque than it is down here where we haven't put any foundation. So we're going to go ahead, grab this big old brush again, now that we have that done, and get to applying. Once I got that down, I ain't worried about much else. But I want to do one side of my face first, just to see what kind of coverage we gonna get. And I'm telling you all, it has been so long since I've used a powder foundation. Growing up, it wasn't like a full-time thing or something she did, you know, as a main source. But there was once upon a time when my mother sold Avon, and I remember seeing those powder compacts. It was something she could put on, swipe with the little sponge that it came with, and be out the door. And truth be told, although I know they're not the most popular form of foundation, nowadays it seems like that is the most popular form that I see amongst people, I would say, around 30 and over. Many people like that, I see, especially like at work in the parking lot, they coming in, they pulling up, and they'll pull their compact out, just do a few swipes, maybe do a little mascara, and those little sponge tip applicators that come in eyeshadow, baby, they good for a one eye look and be going. Just one color, swipe, keep it moving. And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, honey. When I first started putting this stuff on, I was looking like, but sis, where is the color? Where is the coverage, honey? But I ain't gonna lie to you. After doing just one side and then taking a quick step and going, boop, it's like, oh, there's the coverage. There's the color. Like, you can see this side compared to that side, honey. Whew. And I'm looking to see exactly where we're getting any issues. And right now, the only issue that I am seeing is right here near the nose area where I put that Becca Evermatte primer. The thing is, it's such a drying formula with that primer that most products that claim to be matte will leave a slight cakiness right there. But between my natural oils and spraying everything when I get through, that's usually when I judge it. If it looks bad now, I don't hold that against it. I can't really judge it off the acne spots because I do have one right here and one right in the middle. But truth be told, the one that's right there in the middle is barely peeking through. Like, I can tell where it's at, so I wouldn't necessarily say that I've achieved full coverage, but I would say it's medium full. Maybe if I were to go back in and finish the whole forehead, I can get full coverage there. But I would definitely give this a really strong medium coverage. She is just the tiniest bit warmer than what I would want her to be. But considering the fact we could then take this and transfer it over into summertime, I think I like this color. Trying to see if I can get just a little bit more coverage right here underneath the neck. I know most people don't see that area, but when you got a 5 o'clock shadow, honey, you gotta try to cover everything, not just skin color, hyperpigmentation color, but also the discoloration that can come from having a 5 o'clock shadow. And so now that we like the way this looks, we're gonna go ahead, swirl our brush again, and start getting it on this side too, cause honey, half a face ain't never been cute. We not doing that Nikki Tutorials Power of Makeup Challenge, where you got to do the whole face. I am really enjoying the fact that this brush just swirls right in and just swipes straight down to get the coverage that I want, baby. Gotta keep getting under here. That's the main spot I'm worried about. is making sure we don't have a line of demarcation between the jaw and the neck. So I tend to bring mine down at least halfway and then fade it out from there. I'm going to be a little more careful around the nose where we got that Becca primer. Now I'm going to check out this forehead to see what kind of coverage you're going to offer up there, sis. Are we going to be acne scar free today? We're going to find out. Alright, and now that we've got most things done, my main concern is just getting coverage right here in the cheek area. Also want to go in right here above my upper lip. We can't forget that area. And the bottom of the nose. I think the bottom of the nose may be exactly where I forget the absolute most. I spend so much time worried about the side and the top that it's not uncommon for me to have completely skipped right here. Probably because I hate the fact that I gotta hold my breath when I'm doing right here underneath my nose. Because if for any reason one of those bristles reach the inside and tickle me, I'm gonna be sneezing and laughing for hours. So I usually try to hold my breath right there just for my own safety. Okay. Just make sure that under eye area is covered, honey. We may not get all the sleep we want, but the world ain't got to know that. Okay, and now I'm just making sure I didn't skip over any particular area. Make sure we don't have harsh lines. I've never experienced brush strokes during this process, so that's a beautiful thing. It's one of the things you get away from wet powder foundation, because with liquids, baby, depending on that formula, you can have really strong ones. And right now, my face is covered. I'm just having fun. I just like the feeling of knowing that I'm constantly blending, so just in case I completely miss an area by vision, I didn't miss it by repetition by just going over everything once more. And just looking at this right now, trying to make sure, let me grab my mirror to see if that acne scar is still showing through. Honey, the fact that I gotta get this strong and this close up to it, it's like, okay, Torrence, I can personally see it because I know exactly where it is. But we gonna go ahead and call this a full coverage, because sis, I don't see it. I don't even see the one that was right here before. Like I said, with my mirror and my vision, I can see this, but I'm quite sure y'all don't see that on camera. And like I said, the color is just a slight bit warmer than what I would usually expect, but considering the fact it's wintertime and I haven't been in the sun for quite a while, I'm quite sure this color would be even better in the summertime. And the only issues I can say personally is because I put that Becca Evermatte, I can see exactly right here where I put that primer down and where it's looking cakey and flaky. But that's happened with almost every matte foundation that I've done this with. So what I want to go ahead and do is cut off camera. I'm going to finish off my face, and when I come back, I'll let you know what products I use to finish the look. Alright you guys, I'm back, and I wanted to show you exactly what I used off camera to help me achieve this look, because there are some things I need to go over. For highlighter, once again, I went into my Fenty Beauty Kilowatt Freestyle Highlighter Duo. I'm using the shade Hustler Baby because this is my favorite highlighter from Fenty. I got it when they very first launched, and although she's released many other highlighters, this just seems the one that I always come back to. Same thing goes for blush. I'm using my Kilowatt Freestyle Highlighter Duo and the same blush that I use every single time. I always tell everyone I'm going to use a different one, but the Ginger Binge, it's just a nice, beautiful pinky color. To me, it has a glow to it, so it leaves me that beautiful pink hue. But if for any reason I wanted to use it as a highlighter, I possibly could. But it's just my favorite glowy blush from Fenty, and although I have several, this is the one I always pull out. And because we were having so much fun with Fenty Beauty, I decided to see how much I could use. And so for brows, I went in with my Brow MVP in the shade Dark Brown. I have that right here. And although I absolutely love how natural and filled in my brows are, I don't use this very often because I'm still trying to use up all my ABH brow pencils that I have. And I already know for a fact, once this is gone, I'm going to repurchase it, but I have been trying to stretch it out. On the lower lash line, I'm wearing the Fly Pencil Longwear Pencil Eyeliner in the shade See About It. And I just got to be honest with y'all. One, just finding a blue eyeliner just seems to be difficult in itself. Finding a blue eyeliner that's actually good seems to be even harder. And my favorite brand for eyeliners is the Urban Decay 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencils. And to me, even their blue eye pencil leaves me lacking. And unfortunately, Fenty Beauty has done the same with this one. I haven't tried the other colors simply because I wanted to try to step out of my comfort zone and not pick up my normal browns, blacks, and greens. And so I wanted to go in with this blue one, and unfortunately, it's very pigmented if you're just watching it on the back of the hand. The problem is, I just really wish this was a lot creamier, because although I can clearly look at that and tell it's blue, it just took way too much building up to do it, and it's just a dry pencil that tugs across the eye. So I would not recommend this one or the Urban Decay one to anyone. The only blue eyeliner that I've ever tried where I was like truly in love, like I had no complaints about it, it was the one from the Lip Bar and the Justine Skye collab. And unfortunately, that was limited edition and has sold out since then. So I try not to use it, but it's absolutely the best blue eyeliner I've ever tried, and I just don't see any other one. So I've tried to use this many times before and it just doesn't work, and it's no longer even worth the effort. So after today's video, more than likely, I'm just gonna give this one away. But the one thing that has never let me down, my absolute favorite, honey, the Fenty Beauty Gloss Bomb, honey. This shade here is Fenty Glow. It was, I believe, one of their original ones, but it's the original one I purchased. It's my most used. The one I have the most of in my collection. I know I have at least 3 or 4 of these in miniature and full sizes. And so because this look right here is nice and glowy and soft and laid back, I said, Torrence, we're going to let that eyeliner be the pop of color. We're going to keep the lips soft. We're not even going to go in with no eyeliner. And so we topped it off with this. And the one thing I got to be able to tell you, honey, is look at her, honey. She finally did come through. You notice the little crusty spots that I have right there from my Becca Evermatte primer. They started to break down a little bit because my natural oils have started to seep through. And I'm telling you, we have a nice, beautiful glow here. But before I give you all my final thoughts on exactly what was going on with the foundation behind the scenes, you know we got to set everything because I finished everything off camera except spraying it, and you know we got to do that together, so get your things. Fix Plus to give us a glowy do. All-nighter so things last all day. Cheap fan, expensive breeze, good times. Gonna give this a few more seconds to dry and I'll be back to give you all my final thoughts. And this is the final look. Want to go ahead and give you all a full face view of things before I give you all my final thoughts. And honey, look at this. Tell me, how can I not be in love? When I tell you, going into this, the first thing I kept saying is, I understand that powder foundations can be beautiful, but we live in a generation where liquid foundations just seem to be king. Like, nothing seems to offer the coverage, the quickness, and things like that. And then you remind yourself, it's probably because the younger generation just doesn't know how good powder foundations can be. Because I'm telling you, honey, the Sephora website may classify this as a medium coverage, but Fenty Beauty says light to full, and you all saw in the demo. I started off with light coverage, just pressing it in certain places, but by the time I got through, it was full coverage because I'm looking at my forehead now. The acne scar that I have here and here, I don't see. And there's no concealer covering those. It's just a powder foundation. So to me, that was already a beautiful thing. Another thing that I found amazing was how beautiful it sat on top of liquid products. I went in with concealer first just to make sure my dark circles did not peek through. And when I first went in to set it, it was nice, it was smooth, it blended off very easily when I went off and dusted off any excess powder. And my main concern was, how is it going to turn out right here in this area where I have the Becca Ever Matte? Even when I wear matte foundations with liquids, it may start to look a little fishy in the beginning, but once I go ahead and let my oils break through and spray everything, it always turns out good. And all I kept saying is, Torrence, let this foundation do the same. Do not let this powder foundation cake up, peel, or do anything. And tell me, honey, where you see any patchiness, where you see blotchiness, where you see issues. This foundation is absolutely beautiful. But the one thing I can tell you, I wear 370 in the liquid foundation. And the website did say that if for any reason you pick your shade, you may have to go a little bit lighter. I personally, for my shade 370, can say I do agree with that. When I first put it on, I kept saying, well, he looks a little warm, but it's nice. You know, it's wintertime. I don't have a tan. This will help me skip a step for bronzer. But I'm here to let you know, honey, after everything truly set in, I could see that this was a darker foundation. And because I had put my concealer on underneath it, it really didn't offer me that much brightness in that area because I did go in for full coverage in all areas. I believe if I would have just gone for full coverage around the perimeters of my face and went in with a smaller brush or a brush that wasn't quite as dense in the areas right here underneath my eyes, I may have gotten a little more brightness. But considering this is full coverage and it looks this beautiful, I'm not even mad. All I'm going to do is next time try to go in with the powder foundation first and then put liquids on top of it to see if it goes that way. If I have no issues, more than likely that will be my method, simply because I really like a bright under eye. And no matter what type of foundation I'm wearing, whether it be a BB cream, a full coverage, matte, dewy, I always go in with the finishing powder. One, just because I believe it helps smooth everything over, and I believe it adds just a little glow to the skin. Normally I will go in with shade 2 in my highlighted areas and shade 3 all around the perimeters in my contoured areas. And if I want a little extra brightness, I would take shade 1 and do it like directly underneath the eye for brightness. Today, because this foundation did come off a little darker, I skipped shade 3. I took shade 1 and went underneath the eyes and set that all the way underneath the highlighted areas, and then just took shade 2 all around the perimeters. I did not want to go in with shade 3 because I felt as if that was going to bring even more warmth and even more darkness to this look. And to me, my skin looks just fine right now. I wouldn't want to go in any darker because in my opinion, things will start to look artificial. But just this, honey, I am loving it. The fact that I don't have any lip liner on, I don't have any eyeshadow on, and I'm sitting back enjoying the glow. I'm enjoying skin instead of makeup. Like, honey, where's the bold gloss? Where's the duochrome highlighter? Where's the over top 6-color eyeshadow look? Where's the cut crease? I'm not missing none of it. So in my opinion, this is a beautiful foundation. Like, I'm happy I have it. I can't wait to get to work today and show all my friends because, as I stated, many of my coworkers and friends love powder foundations because they can take that sponge, swipe, keep it moving, and just keep going. They're not worried about it transferring. They're not worried about sweating it off. It's just something that's tried and true. And Fenty Beauty then came out and did it for the girls because I truly believe Rihanna just created a product that is going to get the new generation back into old school products, because powder foundation has always been good. It's always been a staple in many women's collection. But today, with the filters and social media, it just seems like everyone's going for full coverage and filtering it and editing it. So it's like, we don't get to see the person behind the makeup. We don't get the chance to enjoy softer looks. And although this may still be more makeup than the average person would wear, it truly is a step back from my normal routine. And I'm really loving it. So if I had to give my seal of approval, would I recommend this foundation? Absolutely. The only people I would say I would be weary of is if you're someone who has textured skin. If you have dry skin, I would say make sure you really moisturize because this does not feel heavy and it did not look like a complete matte. It looked like a nice soft matte on the skin. And more than likely, if you have dry skin, you'll just put this on and you'll either put very little powder in selected areas or not powder at all. But even someone like me who has extremely oily skin, I wouldn't recommend baking with it simply because it is matte and it is powder. I went in today and just set everything, still put on my finishing powder. So to me, that was enough powder on top of things. But the glow it's given is still real, it's still beautiful, and I recommend everyone pick this powder up. Just remember, things can go a little darker than you may expect it. So I will completely skip bronzer or just go a shade lighter. And I hope you all truly enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, give this video a thumbs up. Also, leave me a comment down below if for any reason you A, have intentions on picking up this foundation, or B, you've already tried it, because I would love to know your opinions on it. So far, in my circle of friends, everyone's been waiting on my opinion on it, so I cannot wait for you all to see this video because I truly do recommend this powder foundation. If you all have any other powder foundations that you would like to see a review on, just please let me know. I know the other one that I've been getting a whole lot of requests for in person has been the Makeup Forever one. I've heard other people say that they love their liquid and their powder ones, and I don't have either one of those foundations. So if you all would like to see a tutorial on that one, just make sure you leave that comment down below and I can get that going for you. And before we leave this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I would love for you to join the gang. But with nothing else, remember to practice, continue to stay blessed, and until next time, goodbye YouTube.